In this video, I have attempted to provide an overview of the Pedagogical Leadership Handbook released by CBSE in the first week of February. Please click on the bell icon or the subscribe button below for easy access to our videos. The subscription is totally free of cost. This video is based on the book Pedagogical Leadership, a handbook for leading learning in schools, launched by Central Board of Secondary Education, National Institute of Educational Planning and Administration, and Ministry of Education. The video has been prepared for purely educational purposes. Dr. Biswajit Saha, Director, Training and Skill Education, has beautifully summed up the intent of the Pedagogical Leadership Handbook in his message. I am sharing a few lines from his message here. School education requires leaders of 21st century equipped with relevant skills and know-hows to move from good to great schools. National Policy on Education 2020 places utmost importance on the leadership of principals and redesigns the role of leadership in its exposition to school complexes. Principals as pedagogical leaders lead, guide and support the teaching and learning processes so that both teachers and students perform at their optimal best. This handbook encompasses all essential dimensions of pedagogical leadership and contributes to a better understanding of the principal's role as a pedagogical leader. Primarily, it discusses school leadership concepts and moves on to evolve pedagogical leadership framework for learning in the schools. To lead teaching learning, it is imperative that the school leader develops a culture of learning. Effective teacher learning and professional development is important for ensuring student achievement. Developing the annual pedagogical plan developed in this book informs and guides the schools in this direction. Self-assessment and reflective practices are interwoven throughout the book besides being built into the framework, which will have substantial impact on principals' professional development as well. Pedagogical Leadership, a handbook for leading learning, contains a collection of high-quality instruction materials in the form of tutorials, which are comprehensive and include engaging resources, problems, and assessments. These tutorials can be used for professional development. This slide shows you the structure of the handbook. The handbook is in 4 parts. The first part deals with the various perspectives on the concept of school leadership. The second part contains the knowledge component and gives us a framework for pedagogical leadership. Part 3 relates to application and construction of the annual pedagogical plan. Part 4 gives us opportunities for practice in the form of tutorials. There are 7 reasons that make this handbook unique. It provides innovation in the Indian context. It equips principals as pedagogical leaders to embed 21st century learning skills and knowledge in their school's curriculum and pedagogical approaches. It also uses a non-traditional approach by emphasizing on in-school teacher professional development and self-assessment of the principal. It also serves as a ready reckoner for principals to use in their daily life at school. It also addresses the learning deficit among children through principals' pedagogical leadership at a systems level. It provides a comprehensive framework on school leadership for leading learning in the Indian context, and it aligns with the National Education Policy 2020. As you can see here, this handbook also provides us pedagogy of the practitioner. The practitioner begins by reading and learning, then steps back and reflects, practices and self-assesses, and then finally moves to visualization and improvement of the strategies. This handbook is meant both for self-learners and people involved in training. As self-learners, they can spend time reading and engaging with the concepts and the framework, reflect on core concepts and their role as a leader and lead learner, and grow as a leader who is self-aware. As resource persons, they can make participants read extracts of the handbook, hold extensive group discussions, actively engage participants in reflection, and design sessions as per the needs of the participants. Let's now look at these parts in some detail. The part 1 deals with the various perspectives related to the concept of school leadership. The work of Leithwood and Vivian Robinson suggested that 25% of the total effect on student learning comes from school leadership. They highlighted that a single person, that is, the school principal, has the most significant influence on student learning. Thus, a school leader is directly responsible for leading learning by creating a conducive environment for learning and developing teachers who can translate the school's vision into reality. For managing effective change, the principal can take initiatives and risks, think out of the box, manage resources, create a culture for change, network with people, build relationships with teachers and staff, communicate effectively, and inspire and provide intellectual stimulation. The principal leads the school by exercising 4 types of leadership styles: responsive, responsible, inclusive, and network leadership. Here is a look at the 4 important functions of school leadership. The first is directing others, which would include guiding and supporting leadership teams to set goals, solve problems on their own, and connect with other leadership teams. The second is empowering others. That includes instilling enthusiasm, triggering curiosity to think out of the box, accepting ideas of others, and enabling others to experience a sense of self-worth. The third is working with others, which includes meaningful interaction with other people, cordial relationships with other people, and a sense of shared purpose. It also includes influencing other people, which means the leadership should have the ability to change the behavior of others. Goals are achieved without authority, rewards, or punishments, and intentional control over stakeholders to achieve the goals. As a responsive leader, the principal identifies, understands, and addresses the needs, aspirations, and expectations of the students, teachers, and parents. He or she provides opportunities for collaboration, optimum use and utilization of available resources, and facilitates people development in the form of continuous teacher professional development, empowering the community, and also addressing the social and emotional issues of children. In responsible leadership, the principal critically reflects upon one's own personal and professional orientation for leading schools, develops one's own understanding and perspective about school leadership, and leads school under normal and challenging circumstances, creates workable teams, partnerships, and builds a school as an institution that learns and grows, designs and plans, implements changes using innovations, best practices, and good practices for improving the teaching and learning processes. Inclusive leadership calls for providing equal opportunities in all school processes to all children, all teachers, all parents, and the entire community, irrespective of their abilities, skills, intelligence, and knowledge. In network leadership, leaders working from different hierarchical positions in the school and education system dovetail with each other to support the school and its leader. They share responsibilities with the principal for leading change. Leaders associate with each other to form a collective, and they develop a shared vision instead of adopting a leader-follower approach. And these leaders also engage in searching for talent of those people who can innovate, and they also engage in spreading innovations within the school and also to other schools. School leadership has direct and indirect effects on student learning. One is the direct effect, where the school leadership directly affects the student learning. The indirect effect is through teacher development. The school leadership affects teacher development, and teacher development in turn affects student learning. It also has a reciprocal effect. Just like school leadership influences students' learning, students in turn influence changes in the school leadership. The feedback that you get from the students, especially to the school leader, constitutes the reciprocal effect of the leadership. Part 2 of the handbook contains a knowledge component, and it gives us the pedagogical leadership framework for leading learning. The following two questions inform the development of the framework on pedagogical leadership for school principals. The first is, how does the setting a direction by school leadership facilitate a school's improvement? And the second is, how can the school leaders ensure learning for all students of the school? This figure has been taken from the handbook. It is inspired by the earth and its components. It gives us the basic structure of the pedagogical leadership framework for leading learning. The first layer in red gives us the overarching concepts. The second layer gives the descriptors which function within the layers that describe the layer. And the third include the actionables, which include the processes to be followed for attaining descriptors' intent and hence the layer as a whole. So basically, the first layer includes setting the direction for school improvement and student learning, which includes creating a vision for the school, building a shared vision, developing smart goals, developing a personal vision as a school leader, and aligning personal values to the education system's values. The second layer includes practicing pedagogical leadership. That includes engaging in teachers' professional development, initiating innovations in school, leading teaching learning processes, developing a learning culture, building an inclusive culture, and becoming and being a self-aware leader. The third layer includes assuring students' outcomes. This includes attainment and progress across all school subjects, acquiring competence in 21st century skills, personal, social, and emotional development, and strengthening of moral and ethical sensitivity. Part 3 of the handbook includes annual pedagogical plan for leading learning. The handbook suggests the following 5 steps to develop the annual pedagogical plan. Step 1, where are we now as a school? Step 2, what do we need to do in the coming year? Step 3, how will we achieve what we want to do and who is responsible? Step 4, what is the timeline for implementation? And step 5, what will the impact look like? The handbook also provides a format, various descriptors, and rubrics to help schools plan their annual pedagogical plans or APPs. The 5 major descriptors suggested are engaging in teachers' professional development, initiating innovations in schools, leading the teaching learning process, developing a learning culture, and building an inclusive culture. Part 4 of the handbook contains tutorials for training and capacity building on pedagogical leadership. This section contains various tutorials that can be used for self-learning and for training purposes. The tutorials include resources that will help build knowledge and deeper understanding of concepts, practice exercises to apply the knowledge and help translate actionables in the school setting, process of self-reflection to understand key takeaways, and assessment of school vis-a-vis the descriptors. The handbook also suggests some session plans for conducting the training programs. A 7-day training program in 2 parts, 5 days plus 2 days, has been suggested. First 5 days are to be utilized for understanding the concept of pedagogical leadership, its framework, and its practice, and the next 2 days on learning about and developing the school annual pedagogical plan. For detailed tutorials and links to resources, please see pages 95 to 185. There are a large number of tutorials and a huge number of links to resources available for your use. hope you found